Hey y'all, welcome back. I am Nicole Masu, and this is episode 2 of my She Reads series, because she reads. And in this episode, I am going to be talking about the most recent book that I finished reading, which was Will by Will Smith. Let me go get it. Okay, where are you? There you are. So here is the book. And if you want to hear what I think about it, please stay tuned. So in this She Reads series, I'm going to be basically documenting all the books that I'm reading in real time. I actually have about 6 more books to get through this year. So I'm actually going to do a video for each one as I get through them. So the most recent book that I finished was Will by Will Smith. As you can see, it is very colorful. It's giving like graffiti on the back. It is hardcover. And so I always take this off when I'm reading because duh. And so this is what the book looks like. It's like this pretty little blue and pretty green. This book is also like quite thick. I can't help but to like read. I can't help but to smell the book as I'm flipping through the pages. It's like my favorite thing about having a tangible book. It's 412 pages and the script is pretty large. So even though it's like over 400 pages, it reads like it's way shorter than that. You can get through the book rather quickly, I think. So let me just start by saying why I chose to read this book in the first place. So the Smith family has been a family of keen interest to me ever since I was very young. Of course, I grew up watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, watching like almost all of Will Smith's movies I love them so much, right? From Men in Black, love, grew up watching that, right? Independence Day, I Am Legend, The Pursuit of Happiness. Like, there's just so many movies that Will Smith was in that, you know, made me really develop like this parasocial bond with this celebrity for sure. I really became interested in Will Smith though when I started seeing him in interviews and seeing him in interviews with his family. There's that really famous interview he did with Oprah back in like, I want to say like 2008 or something like that, or and it was him, Jada, Jaden, and Willow. And it was right before, I think it was around the time that The Pursuit of Happiness came out. So it had to have been like 2006, 2007. And I just remember, I mean, I love Oprah. She's such a great spiritual teacher for me. And I just remember thinking like, oh, wow, he's smart. Oh, wow, like they are really open. Like I loved like how open they were with raising Jaden and Willow and letting them be themselves and artistic and gender fluid and all those things. I always thought that was really inspiring to watch. I've always been very captivated by really great parents. And everything, I just remember everything that they were saying in the interview just gave me the impression that, oh, these are thoughtful people who think deeply about things. And so I also would I've been following Red Table Talk. I think I've watched every single episode as well, with Jada Pinkett Smith. And I really, really love it. I highly recommend. It's on Facebook. So if you have a Facebook account, you can watch it for free. There have just been some beautiful episodes that they've done. And then the whole thing with Jada and Will coming out about their kind of non-traditional relationship, I find to be so fascinating. I've been definitely keeping up, and I've been keeping up with the discourse, the very, very spicy discourse around their relationship, which I'll just say this. I think that whatever you think about them is a reflection of what you're going through and how you see life and how you see relationships and what you've projected on them. I really think that, with regards to their relationship, obviously we can't know anything, but if they say if they say that they are having a beneficial relationship with each other, I think that it is what it is, and from what I've seen from them and from what I've heard from them say, they haven't really given me any indication that they are lying or ill-willed or anything. And I think, Will Smith in particular, his spiritual arc over the last decade or so has been really awesome to watch. And he really talks about that in this book, that kind of spiritual arch of being like, oh, I need to be the biggest movie star on earth that's going to make everyone love me, that's going to give me the love I want in my life, to realizing that that doesn't give him the love he wants in his life, and that in order to get the love that he wants, he has to do more inner work. And I just think, and all the content too that they've released with their kids, especially over the last couple years, I highly recommend you guys to watch if you could find it. I think there's a couple Red Table Talk episodes, and I think on Will Smith's YouTube channel, there's some content there as well. But I just think it's so beautiful. I think it's really telling someone's character when they have when their children love them so much. And based on everything that I've seen, Willow and Jaden and Trey love their parents deeply. And as someone who works with children, who are troubled, who are homeless, who are going through a lot, it means I don't take it lightly to see really outstanding parents and to see parents out there doing a beautiful job and trying their best, and they're spiritually open, and they're, that's just a beautiful thing. So I'm always going to, be fans of the Smith family, because to me, they've shown that they have what it takes to look inward, make adjustments, and to care for their community, their family, and maintaining connection. Okay, I just said a lot, but basically I wanted to read the book because I'm a fan of Will Smith, and I wanted to, see what he was going to put in here. And it was very, very fascinating. He basically goes through his whole life, starting when he's a child and, working with his dad and, what his dad went through, and when he became a rapper, and then how his rap career turned into the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then that journey of starting to become a big movie star and starting to make a lot of money, relationships, he goes through his whole, it's a memoir. I found the book to be, it was pretty easy to read, pretty easy to get through. Sometimes his stories are very complex, and there's a lot going on, so sometimes it's kind of hard to completely follow every single thing, but for the most part it was really easy to get through, really easy read. So there was a couple quotes that I highlighted that I found to be particularly interesting, so I'm just going to read them briefly. The first one is on page 100. the chapter titled Hope. But the bottom line is, while yes, it is true that we are all subject to a series of universal laws, patterns, tides, and currents, all of which are somewhat predictable, you are the first time you've ever happened. You and now are a unique occurrence of which you are the most reliable measure of all the possibilities. I just thought that was so beautifully worded. And this is something that I've been personally thinking a lot about, spiritually, this idea of like, there are no accidents, there are no mistakes. Everything that is, and everything that is what it was meant to be, you know, and like, and the power that we have as individuals to like go through the world in our own unique way, and how important it is to, you know, go down your own unique path. I just thought that was really interesting. He was saying this with regard to people giving him advice about what to do with his career. Yeah, because he's saying that, you know, his mom wanted him to go to college and all of these things, especially early in his career. There was a lot of risks he had to take with regards to the rap career and then turning that into the TV show. And his mom was like, I'm going to give you a year before, you know, I'm going to be like, you need to go to college. But he was able to make stuff happen in that amount of time. But he just is kind of talking about how, you know, it is difficult to hear from other people, especially people you care about, that, you know, they don't agree with the path that you're choosing to take. But at the end of the day, like, you are the only person, you are the most qualified person to like decide what to do with your own life, because it's your life. Like, it's your body. You're the one who has the most direct access to your own brain and your own feelings and your own internal compass. And at the end of the day, it's up to you to follow that. So I thought that was really beautiful. Okay, so the next one I highlighted was on page 379. This chapter is called Surrender. Love that word. That is like the word of the year for me personally. Just because like I'm just spiritually, I've been interested in the idea of not resisting what is, and to surrender to the current. Yeah, that's been big for me this year. Okay, so here we go. The quote says, "As long as you do things for the approval of a woman," Michaela said, "you will never be free. That is a descending hell. And I'll tell you, when a woman sees that she can bend you, she loses trust in you. We need you to be solid. We need your yes to be a yes and your no to be a no. As long as you are twisting and contorting and selling yourself out for the affection of others, you will always be untrustworthy." My chair is squeaky. Sorry. Tell me that's not a word. What? This resonated with me in a different way. So Will was basically saying that, you know, part of his thing with like wanting to be a big movie star was this unaddressed trauma from childhood that he got, because he felt as if when he was a child, he felt as if he wasn't able to protect his mom from his dad. And so he has this trauma related to women and related to women's approval. And this trauma extended to his romantic relationships as well. And so there was a lot of trying to win women's approval. That was a pattern in his life. And it wasn't until, you know, several years after marrying Jada, probably like 10, 15 years, that's when he started to realize these things, because it started, causing issues in their relationship. And this was just a little nugget of something that he learned after doing his inner work, or while doing his inner work. And it really resonated with me, not because I also struggle with seeking women's approval, but because I have felt as in my life as though I have been on the receiving end of that. And what I mean is that, like, I can think of a lot of guys that I've been with sexually or romantically or whatever, as a friend or whatever, who they were seeking my approval, right? As opposed to just trying to genuinely connect with me. And it's really hard and weird as the girl to be on the other side of that, because, I don't want to take advantage of someone, and I need your yes to be a yes, and I need your no's to be no's. That is a huge thing. Just if you want to interact with me at all on a deep level, that is a huge thing that helps me build trust with you. And, this is something I've actually had to, talk to some guys I've been with before about, because, it makes them untrustworthy, right? I hope that makes sense. It resonates. Let me know if that makes sense. It's, you know what it's giving? It's giving that episode of The Proud Family when Penny Proud, she like became a superstar or something, and she was able to like pay for friends, and she had a friend that she paid to be her friend, because like Dejanay and La Cienega and Zoe were not having it with her attitude. But basically the lesson is that when you pay for friends instead of actually having friends who are genuinely showing up for you, then you're not getting a genuine connection, right? Like, you're not getting a genuine connection. You're getting someone who's only there for, not the right reason, essentially. That's what it's giving. Okay, and then the last quote that I really liked is in the same chapter, Surrender. This chapter was good. Page 387. Okay, so the quote goes, "The surfer and the ocean are a team. The mountain and the climber are partners, not adversaries. The great river is going to do 99% of the work. Your 1% is to study it, to understand it, to respect its power, and creatively dance within its currents and its laws. Act when the universe is open, and rest when she's closed." Like, come on. Like, beautiful. Beautifully said. This is another part of, I would say, probably the climax of his spiritual arc is detailed in Surrender. If I had to guess, others might disagree with me, but basically he's dropping all kinds of nuggets in here. And in this section, he's talking about a quote that his grandma used to tell him that he never understood until he was older. And the quote is, "Let go and let God." And that's basically the way that he describes it. And I just thought that it was described so well. Like, the surfer and the ocean are a team, not adversaries, right? And so if we think about the surfer being us, having a human experience, and the ocean being the experience, the world, the landscape in which we can operate, it's up to us not to fight the ocean, because you can't. You will always lose. She's too powerful. It's up to us to study the ocean, to learn about her, and to figure out how to surf her. And I just like, that just hits. It just hits, And then I love that he ends it with like, act when the universe is open and rest when she's closed. So this has also been something that I've personally been trying to like figure out over these last couple of years. And right now I think I'm in the act when the universe is open phase. And it's been quite a ride. I've had to unlearn a lot, especially as an American. I think we are so committed to working all the time that we don't have a concept of acting when the universe is open and resting when she's closed. And you could also argue too that that's a privilege if you're even able to do that, right? And so yeah, and I feel like I'm really lucky right now in this time of my life and really privileged. And so I think for me, that means that I have to act now that the universe is open. Okay, so that was Will. That was the book that I read last month. And overall, I liked it. I thought it was really nice. I will say, as someone who follows a lot of Smith family content, I don't think I learned much new information because a lot of these stories he talks about in his various interviews on his YouTube channel and Red Table Talk. So a lot of these stories I've already heard before. So if you are someone who has seen a lot, I think you can honestly go and try to find a lot of his interviews over the last couple of years, and that'll pretty much sum up the book. But the book was nice to read and it was nice to have. And as a Will Smith fan, I am glad to have read it and to support, so I don't mind. So yeah, I would recommend this book to anyone who is interested in Will Smith's spiritual journey, even though his life is very specific to just him and it's not that relatable for a lot of people. I do think a lot of the themes in this book are still relatable. And, I do think there is something to be said about how we're able to hop in another person's world and still be able to experience the emotions that they experienced and experience it in a similar way that it feels for them. That's the power of being a human being, and the beauty of being in a collective consciousness is that you can tap into another person's experience if you want to and experience it for yourself in a safe environment like reading a book. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here. If you are interested in seeing some of my more personal content, please join my Patreon. I will see you in the next video. The next book that I'm reading, which I'm almost done with, is Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. So that'll be in the next episode. I'll be talking about that. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.